Gelawdewos was Emperor of Ethiopia, and a member of the Solomonic dynasty. He was a younger son of Dawit II by Sabla Wengel. His reign was dominated by the struggle with Ahmad ibn Ibrahim al-Ghazi during the Abyssinian-Adal War until Ahmad's defeat and death in the Battle of Weinerdagger on February 21, 1543. Gelawdewos devoted time and energy to rallying his people against Ahmad, a determination his chronicler credits prevented Ahmad's forcible conversions from being permanent. With Ahmad's death, Gelawdewos was not only able to eject the leaderless Muslim forces from the Ethiopian highlands, but also from the lowlands to the east, which included the Sultanate of Dawit and Bale. He also turned his attention to the numerous Ethiopians who had crossed over to the Imam's side, either to further themselves or out of self-preservation, while some presented themselves to Gelawdewos expecting to be pardoned only to be executed. To many others he granted his safe conduct. According to Miguel de Castanhazo, for there were so many that had he ordered all to be killed, he would have remained alone. However, while campaigning against the Agar people in Gojam, Enwar ibn Mujar had once again invaded Ethiopia. Gelawdewos's vassal Fanal succeeded in repulsing them, but the emperor followed up with a further attack into Muslim territory, plundering the countryside for 6 months. At one point he captured Hara, where Barakat ibn Umar-din of the Adal Sultanate was killed, the last member of the Lashma dynasty. According to a Harari chronicle, Gelawdewos was killed in battle. Early in the engagement, Gelawdewos was hit by a bullet but continued to fight until surrounded by a score of Harari cavalry, who struck him fatally to the ground with the spears. According to Pankhurst, Emir Enwar had the emperor's head sent to the country of Saad ad-Din II, then rode off to plunder Ethiopian territory before returning home. The explorer Richard Francis Burton tells a slightly different account, adding that Gelawdewos had been supervising the restoration of Debre Werq when he received a message from Emir Enwar challenging him to combat. When the emperor met the emir, a priest warned that the angel Gabriel had told him Gelawdewos would needlessly risk his life, which caused most of the Ethiopian army to flee. According to G.W.B. Huntingford, Gelawdewos' body was buried at Tad Baba Maryam near Sayant, and his head, which was brought back to Ethiopia by some traders, was buried in Insaka in the tomb of St. Gelawdewos. Foreign relations. The first problem of foreign relations Gelawdewos had to deal with following his victory at Weinerdagger was João Bermudes, a Portuguese priest whom his father had sent abroad as his ambassador to secure help from Portugal. Bermudes had represented himself in Europe as the properly appointed Patriarch of Ethiopia, and once he returned to Ethiopia, he claimed he had been appointed by Pope Paul III as Patriarch of Alexandria. A surviving letter dated 13 March 1546 from John III of Portugal to Emperor Gelawdewos, translated by Whiteway, is a response to a lost letter wherein the Ethiopian ruler asked, in essence, who is this João Bermudes fellow, and why does he behave so irresponsibly? King John's answer was frank, as to what João Bermudes has done there, whom the king your father sent to me as his ambassador, I disapprove greatly, for they are things very contrary to the service of our Lord, and by reason of them it is clear that he cannot be given any help or assistance. Nor do I know more of him than that he is a mere priest. Of the powers which he says the Holy Father granted him I know nothing. From the letters of His Holiness you will learn better what has passed in the matter, although for this he merits very severe punishment. It appears to me that you should not inflict it, except in such a way that, his life being saved, he may be punished according to his errors. According to Bermuda's own account of his time in Ethiopia, early in the reign of Gelawdewos, he was banished to Gafat south of the Blue Nile, the first of several exiles that ended when Bermudes left Ethiopia. This banishment probably followed Gelawdewos' receipt of King John's letter. In the same letter, King John promised to send priests more worthy than Bermudes, and during his reign 2 different groups of Jesuit missionaries arrived in Ethiopia. The first group arrived the 7th of February 1555 to determine the state of the country and whether the Ethiopians would properly receive a patriarch anointed by the Catholic Church. Gelawdewos received them, but gave them no overt encouragement. The second group landed in March 1557, and was headed by Emperor of Ethiopia, who had been made titular Bishop of Nice. Gelawdewos received them just before leaving to campaign against Enwar ibn Mujahid, but did not make any promises. In response to their arguments, Gelawdewos wrote his confession, which defended the Monophysitism of the Ethiopian Orthodox Gelawdewos Church. According to Richard Pankhurst, Gelawdewos' confession helped his fellow Ethiopian Christians to remain steadfast in their adherence to Sabbath observance, circumcision, and the prohibition against pork and other unclean foods. Ethiopia's access to the outside world was severely crippled during his reign in 1557 when the Ottoman Empire conquered Massawa. From that point forward, dignitaries and missionaries to Ethiopia had to travel in disguise to avoid Muslim authorities. This also allowed the Ottomans to block the Ethiopians from importing firearms.